Përshëndetje gjithë shikuesve të cilët janë duke na ndjekur në këto momente. Jemi këtu drejt për drejt selisë së NATO-s në Bruksel, kryeqytetin e Belgjikës, ku edhe po zhvillohen takimet e ministrave të gjitha shteteve të jashtëm, ministrave të mbrojtjes pra të shteteve anëtare të NATO-s. Jemi këtu me njërin prej gazetarëve të Ukrainës, ku dim që edhe delegacioni i Ukrainës bashkë me ministrin e mbrojtjes të Ukrainës kanë ardhur këtu në NATO për të treguar edhe nevojat urgjente se çfarë i duhet Ukrainës në këto momente kur e dim se janë duke u përballur me luftë bashkë me Rusin. Gazetari Volodymyr Runets është këtu me ne për të na informuar edhe më shumë se çfarë situate po mbizotron atje. Then, hi Volodymyr, thank you for your time.
Well, thank you for having me.
Okay, Volodymyr, first of all, you came here earlier to Brussels from Ukraine. Could you tell us how was the road? Was it different than any other time?
Well, we left Kiev on Monday, which is the day when all the airstrikes happened. I woke up at like 8 o'clock in the morning and I looked out of the window and I saw two big massive rockets flying just over my building. And like seconds after they landed right in the downtown of Kiev, and I could hear the explosions and I thought, oh my God, this is something that is happening again in Kiev, and I'm probably not going to be able to go to Brussels, and I thought I'd cancel because at this point I couldn't and I didn't want to leave my family behind unattended. When this war zone, people should be together in order to, organize evacuation if necessary, and journalistically, work-wise, I need to be where the news is, and the news is where people's lives are. So I thought I wouldn't go to NATO and to Brussels, no matter how important it is for Ukraine and for the Ukrainian people. I needed to be at home. But then again, I spoke with my mom, and she's like, you go do your job. They cannot interfere with anyone's plans, not even yours. So you do whatever you're supposed to do, and we are fine. So I was like a bit nervous about it. The road, though, the trip was okay. We took the overnight train to Warsaw because there's no other connection. You have to use railway. There's no flights over Ukraine, so we moved to Poland, and then from Poland we took a plane here to Brussels.
Yes, you mentioned your family. What about the current situation in Ukraine? And are people forced to flee their homes? Like, do they have to leave their homes to feel safe? Is it dangerous to stay in Ukraine right now?
It is dangerous to stay anywhere in Ukraine, across the country, because you don't know where the rockets will land. Of course, the air defense is doing whatever they can. Very efficient. If you look at the statistics, they take down more than half of the rockets and drones, kamikaze drones that fly over Ukraine and land somewhere and explode, which is really good considering that Ukraine does lack. It really needs more air defense systems, and which is something that Minister Reznikov said earlier today here at NATO, and which is something that Secretary General admits, and Secretary Austin from the United States. I mean, everyone knows that Ukraine needs safer sky. Ukraine, of course, would like to have the sky no-fly zone, but as we know, the West has been clear they're not interfering militarily, so people are a little bit disappointed back home on the ground. But generally, I mean, those who wanted to flee the country, they did. And there's no point in moving anywhere inside the country because nowhere is safe enough.
But what are the urgent needs of Ukraine right now?
I do believe that military assistance that's been provided, it's really, really important, and you could feel it. You could feel it in the battlefield. I mean, we've seen the fantastic counteroffensive in the east of the country, in the north of the country. We know about the liberation of the entire Kharkiv region, and we know about the moves of the Ukrainian army is making in the south, Kherson, and also in Donbass. They are moving, they're pushing back the Russian army even in Luhansk Oblast, which is which was practically entirely taken by the Russian army. We've seen Severodonetsk and Lysychansk and those cities that were taken easily, not easily, but they were taken by the Russian army. Of course, the Ukrainian people feel the support and the military assistance that's been provided, and the messages that's been sent that the EU stands united, the NATO members stay united, that Russia is not going to be let easily go because of what it's doing in Ukraine. But still, something has to be done differently, and I don't think that's something conventional that we all know about is good enough. So I believe that the politicians and the leaders should think of something that could be more creative and would let them overplay Putin in his dirty game.
Okay, Volodymyr, also Canada earlier today said that they will provide $15 million worth of winter supplies to Ukraine. Is this enough? Because we know that the winter is coming, and is this total amount of dollars enough for the winter supplies?
Obviously, it is not enough, but we should understand that every little bit helps.
Yes.
So it's not solely Canada that's helping, and of course the Ukrainian people are grateful for what Canada is doing, and we know the percentage of the Ukrainian people living in Canada. I mean, there is like a great diaspora in Canada. I believe it's 12 or 20%, I might be mistaken, of the Ukrainians living basically in Canada and lobbying all the, so Canada and Ukraine are closely connected and have always been. But the thing is that, again, I say, billions and billions of dollars will be spent again and again until this all stops. And there should be something unconventional, something creative that has to stop Putin. Otherwise, we'll just be all spending billions of dollars and euros of our own money on this ongoing war.
Okay, but what role is NATO playing? As we're here in NATO headquarters, what is NATO role like playing? Is it sufficient?
Hard to say what is sufficient. There's an ongoing war, and it would be not fair to say that. It would not be fair to say that something is sufficient or not until it's going on, But we all know that Ukraine filed an application to join NATO. I mean, before that, Ukraine kept saying that it had the ambition to at some point to join the alliance. But then, with the new developments, Ukraine said enough is enough. We are applying. I mean, this move could be perceived differently. Some would say that Ukraine is daring, some would say that Ukraine is cheeky, some would say that Ukraine cannot count on NATO being a NATO member state because with an ongoing conflict, NATO is not going to accept Ukraine. We all know that. But this is a strong political signal, and the way NATO reacted to that, that NATO did not reject Ukraine, is a very strong signal to the Ukrainian population that they have a future they're fighting for. So that's something that matters a lot.
Saying this, what's the spirit of Ukrainian people? Are there hopes that everything is going back to normal soon?
No, there are no hopes that things could go back to normal because no one knows what is normal. Normality is something that we should build up. It's still something to create. On that Monday that I was leaving Kiev, I was following Twitter and all the social media in Ukraine and Facebook. All the social media I was following and reading people's emotions. And the main message was not fear, but rage. So the mood in Ukraine right now is we have nowhere to go back. We need to finish this, whatever it takes, because this is the home you have to protect.
Yes. Okay, then, Volodymyr, thank you for your time. I hope you'll be safe, your family and everyone in Ukraine. Thank you again for this interview.
Well, thank you.
Atëherë kjo ishte intervista e plot me gazetarin nga Ukraina, Volodymyr, I cili edhe na informoi edhe më shumë mbi situatën e cila faktikisht është duke mbizotruar në Ukrainë.
Në një